Okay, so here we are in pit number 2. This is the no-till, no ground cover. So this was like the bare minimum amount of effort to put corn into ground because you did nothing to it and it still grew. But what do we see in here, Dan? Like, this is, compared to the, and spoil alert for the rest of the site, we're not going to see this across the remainder of the locations, are we? This nice sort of, you know, blocky structure in the topsoil.
No, not at all. So we can see a couple of inches at the top here of some more platey structure. You can see how that kind of, that's kind of breaking off into these really thin, plates. It's a couple of inches, and then then you get into this pretty nice structured soil, and you can see the roots kind of throughout that entire soil mass. But you can see that nice blocky structure of the topsoil, and certainly not something we're going to see at some of the other sites further on or later in the video, I guess.
And this was again, spoiler alert, this is our winning corn stalk for as far as depth of root that I found. I started tracing a big tap root down through here, and I kind of gave up, and actually it didn't go very far at all. But we can see a root that's made it, what, 50 centimeters, 60 centimeters into the soil profile. So that was on the hunt for some moisture, and it definitely found some down here. But like I said, decent structure, lots of roots, good organic matter, and then even down into the subsoil layer, getting a little bit more organic matter. That's not no-till doing that in 1 year, but that's maybe we haven't, you know, interfered with that root mass, you know, in some of the tillage plots we're going to see. But again, really interesting to see that this sort of, you know, much more loose structure between the rows than in the next couple of pits.
Yeah, so it's across the entire soil pit, not just in zones like we've seen, or like we'll see at some of the other pits. So this structure is kind of consistent across the entire thing. And just for, you know, a means of comparison, we can see again it's the same clayey material with the bright orange mottles in it, and so you know, impeded drainage again in this soil especially once you get into that subsoil. So that's holding on to a lot of water, and it's not letting water. It's not going to let water through very easily. But you can see the roots are making it through, and the water makes its way down those root channels as well, right? So,
yeah.
Do we have a plant?
Yeah, that's where I was going. So I tried to pull one of these straight up out of the ground. Old leg arms here. He yanked that one out, but he cheated. He pulled it out sideways.
Yeah. So.
But like this root structure is very much, you know, incorporated into the ground structure. So it's meandering through those small breaks and those you know, blocks of soil. Whereas we'll see it in the next one. The roots just went down the big channels, so it just pulled right out comparatively. Yeah. But
and then you can see how when the aggregates are smaller, how the roots are able to penetrate through the aggregates as well. You can see the roots going through, and they're really holding on to the sides of the aggregates. And what we'll see later on is in those larger cracks, the roots kind of don't really hold on to anything. They're going down those cracks, but then when you pull the plant up, they just come straight up, and they don't have any soil attached to them like this.
So, and you know, if you're going to split hairs, you know, probably better nutrient uptake in something like this. You're going to have more soil to root contact. So that's just more, you know, you got more locations to do business, you can do more business. Whereas in some of the structures, you know, if it's just going down a crack in the soil, it's only got a very limited amount of nutrients to pull through, and it's got to work a little bit harder. So we're not really seeing a noticeable distance in the stands of corn as far as, you know, what you could explain by, you know, nutrient uptake or whatever. But it's been a fairly normal year, I guess, as far as crop. But if we got into some tougher conditions, I would expect to see a little more variety across these stands of corn.